Prices can stay elevated longer, but money flows will ultimately dictate those corrective moves in the action. So pay attention to money flows. It is so critically important. This is what you need to know before the bell. I've talked about money flows, and money flows are so important because if money flows are positive, that gives asset prices support. If they're negative, it takes away from that support. So if you pay attention to where money is flowing one way or the other, it'll help you kind of determine where the markets are going to next. And despite the sell-off on Monday, money flows have continued to come in the markets. In fact, yesterday, the triple Qs, right, that's the ETF for the NASDAQ 100, had its biggest inflows since 2021. So that, remember, back in 2021 was when we had checks to households, right? So everybody had money to spend. Largest inflows yesterday since 2021. So again, plenty of money still sitting out there wanting to come into the markets. Monday was not the watershed event that a lot of the bears were trying to make it out to be. Again, you know, we're not bullish or bearish, but there was a ton of bearish headlines out on Monday going, oh my gosh, this is the watershed moment for the markets. The crash is coming. That's hard to do that when money flows are continuing to increase in the markets. Markets are not overbought yet. We're still on a very solid buy signal. Again, everything is okay for the market. Doesn't mean we're not going to have a bit more volatility here, but markets are holding well above the 50 and the 20-day moving average. This morning we're pointing a little bit higher today. Again, that can certainly be changed later on today, you know, by earnings as well as the Fed. But again, the important thing here is to watch those money flows. Right now they're positive. If those money flows start to turn negative, and we've seen this before. If we just go back to mid-December, early December, you know, we were talking about in early December, we said, hey, there's very likely we're going to get a correction because we're going to have distributions and things about mid-month. And the market was holding up just fine early December. And everybody was like, well, Lance is wrong because, you know, we're not, you know, markets are doing fine. They're near all-time highs. But money flows were declining and going negative. And then the market finally gave way. And again, that's why you pay attention to money flows. Prices can stay elevated longer, but money flows will ultimately dictate those corrective moves in the action. So pay attention to money flows. It is so critically important over time. Now, other things that we need to be paying attention to right now, of course, is that we've got the dollar back on the march today. Again, dollar strength has been really one of those things that has also been kind of underpinning the market to a large degree. We had a nice correction in the dollar starting to rally back off key support. We're decently oversold on a couple of levels. Relative strength is starting to pick back up. So we may be in kind of mode here for another kind of counter trend rally in the dollar. That's certainly going to potentially impact some economic data as well as earnings data because, again, stronger dollar impacts exports. It also impacts companies that have international revenue. Remember, 41% of all corporate revenues are from international sales. So that's our exports. So if the dollar gets stronger, that weakens those sales and that potentially impacts corporate earnings. And with the dollar having this strong, as we go into really more of these international company reports, that may weigh on those company earnings reports in particular, because if they didn't hedge that currency relationship enough, could certainly have underpinned their earnings. So kind of watch the dollar as we get further into earnings season. But again, today starts. Today, tomorrow, Apple, Microsoft, Google, all the big boys out, except for NVIDIA. That's later in the month. We'll get there. So anyway, that's what you need to know before the bell this morning.